All right, get ready, because today we're going deep on something pretty amazing. The idea of a planetary immune system.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Like, imagine if we could spot pandemics,
Before they even happen.
Yeah. Before they even begin, almost like the planet could protect itself.
Yeah, I like that. A planetary defense system, right?
Exactly. And we've got
What do we have to work with for this one?
we've got this opinion piece
Okay.
that lays out this whole vision for the future.
Okay.
But then we also have some real scientific proposals
Interesting.
for how we could actually pull this off.
Cool.
So we'll be jumping between those two main sources today.
Sounds like a plan.
It's really a shift from just reacting to outbreaks
Oh,
to, like, getting ahead of them.
Being proactive, yeah.
Exactly. And the opinion piece, it kicks off with this crazy example.
What's that?
Apparently, back when SARS hit, and then again before COVID,
Mm-hmm.
the price of garlic
Garlic.
in China, it went way up.
Yeah.
Almost like the planet was trying to tell us something.
A subtle hint, huh? Like, hey, something's up.
Right. It reminds me of,
For what?
well, researchers have been looking at all sorts of things, like, satellite pictures
Of what?
of hospitals to see how busy they are.
Spot unusual activity?
Exactly. Or even, like, what people are saying on social media.
Oh, right. Looking for mentions of feeling sick.
Yep. So instead of waiting for official reports, we'd be picking up on all these
Clues.
clues. Yeah. Hidden signals.
It's all about finding those patterns, right? Connecting the dots.
But how do you know which signals matter?
Yeah, how do you sift through all that noise? It's a tough one.
Right. What's just random and what's actually a red flag?
That's where things get tricky.
Because it's not enough to just gather tons of data, right?
Nope. You've got to make sense of it all. And that's where things like artificial intelligence
Oh, right. AI.
and supercomputers, that's where they come in.
Because they can handle way more information than we ever could.
Right. They can see those connections that we might miss.
So we're talking about a system that's constantly
Watching.
monitoring all this stuff.
From market prices to
What's in the environment.
online chatter, it's a lot.
It's a ton. I mean, wouldn't that take an insane amount of computing power?
Oh, absolutely. That's why these supercomputers are so important to this whole idea.
Because they can process everything so fast.
Exactly. Real-time analysis, that's the key.
Okay, but these supercomputers, I feel like I hear about them being used for everything.
Oh, they are. Weather forecasting, drug discovery, you name it.
So what makes them so special for this planetary immune system thing?
Well, think about what they did during COVID. Remember,
Yeah.
modeling how the virus spread, helping to find potential treatments,
Yeah.
even analyzing,
The virus itself.
to find its weak points.
So it's not just about crunching numbers.
It's about understanding the science at a deeper level.
Right. Okay, so we've got all this data
Mountains of it.
and the computing power to analyze it, but how do we actually turn those insights into action?
That's the next big question, isn't it?
Let's say the system spots a potential threat, then what?
Well, ideally, this system wouldn't just detect threats.
But also tell us what to do.
Exactly. Imagine a world where it could trigger preemptive measures.
Preemptive, like before anything bad even happens.
Right. Maybe you could deploy treatments or mobilize resources to where they're needed most.
That sounds pretty radical.
It is, and it's definitely something that would need careful consideration.
Right. Because we can't just have, like...
Algorithms making all the decisions.
Exactly. What about ethics? What about people's freedom to choose?
Oh, absolutely. Those are huge questions. And transparency would be crucial.
So people need to understand how the system works.
Totally. What data it's using, how it's making decisions, all of that.
Because otherwise it just feels like Big Brother, right?
Right. It has to be about empowering people, not controlling them.
Okay, so less about Big Brother and more about giving us the tools to protect ourselves.
Exactly.
But even with early warnings, wouldn't there be a lot of skepticism?
Oh, for sure.
Like, imagine the headlines, supercomputer predicts flu outbreak, stock up on garlic.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of work to do in terms of public trust.
Okay, so it's a paradigm shift, not just in technology, but in how we think about global health.
Absolutely. Moving from reaction to proaction, from fear to preparedness.
But building a system like this, I mean, it sounds incredibly complex.
It is, no doubt about it.
So where do we even begin?
Well, the good news is a lot of the pieces are already in place.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
We have the technology, the data, the scientific expertise.
So it's more about bringing everything together.
Exactly. It's a massive undertaking, but the potential benefits are enormous.
Yeah, imagine a world where pandemics are...
A thing of the past.
or at least not the devastating events they are now.
It's a vision worth striving for.
Okay, so we've talked about what the system could do and why it's important.
The big picture.
Right. But now I want to get into the nitty-gritty, like how would it actually be built?
Let's break it down.
What are the components?
Well, it all starts with the front line of defense, the sensors.
Ah, so these are like the eyes and ears of the system.
Exactly. Constantly scanning for potential threats.
And what kind of sensors are we talking about? Like, are these little gadgets hidden everywhere?
We're talking about a global network of biosensors.
Biosensors.
Yeah, think high-tech devices placed strategically
Where would they go?
in biodiversity hotspots.
Biodiversity hotspots. Why there?
That's where new pathogens are most likely to emerge, you see.
Ah, so we're going to the source where these things first pop up.
Exactly. These sensors will be constantly monitoring
Monitoring what?
animals, plants, the air, the water, even the soil.
Wow, so they're looking for anything unusual, any sign of...
Microbial activity, yep.
But how would they actually spot a potential threat?
Well, they'd be equipped with some pretty advanced tech
Like what?
for real-time DNA and RNA sequencing.
Whoa, that sounds complicated.
It basically means they can identify any microbes present and analyze their genetic makeup,
So it's not just about knowing something's there, it's about knowing exactly what it is.
down to its genetic code.
That's incredible. But once a sensor finds something unusual, what happens next?
That's where the supercomputers and AI step in.
Ah, right, back to them.
The data from all these sensors would be fed into a global network of supercomputers.
Okay,
And then those supercomputers would analyze those genetic sequences
so they're comparing it to
to massive databases.
looking for matches.
Exactly, and running simulations to see if it poses a risk to humans.
So it's not just detection, it's evaluation too.
Real-time risk assessment, powered by AI.
But what if the system gets it wrong?
That's always a possibility with any complex system.
A false alarm?
Exactly. That's why it's crucial to build in redundancy and multiple layers of verification.
Redundancy.
Backups, fail-safes, things like that.
So if one part of the system messes up, it doesn't bring down the whole thing.
Precisely. And the system would need to be constantly learning, refining its algorithms.
Based on new data.
Yep. And that's where human experts come in.
Ah, so we're not completely out of the loop.
Not at all. Human oversight is essential, especially when it comes to interpreting the data and making decisions.
So it's a partnership between AI and humans.
Working together to keep the planet safe.
Okay, we've got the sensors, the supercomputers, and the human experts, but what about the actual response? How do we translate all these insights into concrete action?
Now that's where things get really interesting. And that's what we'll be talking about in part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, so we left off talking about how the system would actually spring into action.
Right, how we go from data to doing something about it.
Yeah, because just knowing there's a threat isn't enough. We need to know what to do.
Absolutely. It's all about connecting the dots.
Finding those patterns that tell us something's brewing.
Exactly. It's kind of like,
Like what?
trying to predict a hurricane.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You've got all these separate pieces of information,
Wind speed, ocean temperatures, all that.
but it's how they all fit together that really matters.
And how they change over time.
Right. That's what gives you the real picture.
So we need something that can see the big picture when it comes to global health.
Yeah, some kind of super sophisticated algorithm.
And that's where AI comes in.
Yeah, but not just any AI.
What do you mean?
We need algorithms that are specifically designed for this kind of biological data.
Ah, so it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Nope. We need something that understands the complexities of disease outbreaks.
Okay, so we need specialized AI, but are we talking about one giant supercomputer handling all of this?
Well, it's more likely to be a network of systems,
A network.
kind of like the internet itself.
Oh, interesting.
Each system with its own area of focus.
So like a team of specialists.
Yeah, working together.
One analyzing genetic data, another looking at the environment, another monitoring social media.
Exactly. Each contributing their piece of the puzzle.
But wouldn't that make the system more vulnerable?
Vulnerable how?
Well, what if one part of the network goes down?
Oh, yeah, or even gets hacked.
Exactly.
That's a really important point. Security would be absolutely paramount.
So we'd need, like,
Multiple layers of protection, backups, the works.
just like any critical infrastructure.
Right. But actually, this distributed model also has an advantage.
What's that?
It's harder to take down the whole thing if it's spread out.
Ah, so it's more resilient in a way.
Kind of like a biological immune system,
Yeah.
diverse and adaptable.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But let's talk about the human element here.
What about it?
All this tech is impressive, but surely we can't just let machines make all the decisions.
Oh, absolutely not.
There has to be human oversight.
100%. Human judgment is still critical. especially when it comes to interpreting the data and figuring out how to respond.
So the AI is a tool,
A powerful tool, yes.
but the humans are still in control.
It's a partnership, basically. AI provides the insights, but humans make the calls.
But wouldn't there be a lot of people who just wouldn't trust a system like this?
Oh, yeah. So I could see.
Relying on an algorithm to predict outbreaks?
It all comes down to transparency.
Transparency.
People need to understand how it works.
Well, what data it's using, how it arrives at its conclusions.
Exactly. If it's a black box, people are going to be suspicious.
Okay, so building trust is a big part of this.
Huge. It's not just about the technology. It's about the communication and the ethics.
Got it.
Yeah.
But let's say we do get it all up and running. The system's working. People trust it.
Okay.
What kind of impact could this planetary immune system actually have? We've talked about pandemics.
Right, but there's so much more.
Like what?
Imagine using it to monitor food security.
Food security.
Yeah. The AI could analyze agricultural data, predict crop yields, maybe even identify areas at risk of famine before it happens.
So we could take steps to stabilize food supplies before things get really bad.
Exactly. Prevent those humanitarian crises.
That's amazing. So it's not just about disease, it's about building resilience across all sorts of systems.
Seeing the connections, the interdependencies.
Could we even use it for something like climate change?
Potentially, yeah.
How?
By integrating climate data, the system could help us predict extreme weather events.
Droughts, floods, all that.
And then we could take steps to mitigate the damage.
Wow, this is starting to sound like a global intelligence network.
It's about connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture.
But with that much power.
Comes a lot of responsibility, definitely.
Right, because who controls this system? Who decides how it's used?
Those are the questions we need to be asking.
We need safeguards, ethical guidelines.
Absolutely. We need to make sure it's used for good, not for control or manipulation.
So it's not just about building the tech, it's about building the right framework around it.
Exactly. It's a social challenge as much as a technological one.
And that might be the hardest part of all, getting everyone on board.
Building that global trust and cooperation.
Yeah, it's a daunting task, but the potential rewards are huge.
Imagine a world where we're not constantly putting out fires.
But actually preventing them.
Anticipating and mitigating risks before they turn into disasters.
It's a totally different way of thinking about global challenges.
It's a paradigm shift.
And while it might be a long way off, it's exciting to think about the possibilities.
Absolutely. And the journey itself will lead to incredible discoveries and innovations.
You know, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the problems in the world.
Yeah, the headlines can be pretty bleak sometimes.
But hearing about this planetary immune system
Gives you a sense of hope, right?
It does. It shows that we're not just sitting around waiting for the next disaster to hit. We're actively searching for solutions.
We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
We're using our ingenuity and our technology to build a better future.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
I think so. It's about using our collective intelligence to create a safer, healthier, and more resilient world.
And that's something worth fighting for.
Absolutely. Now, I'm really curious to hear about some real-world examples of how these technologies are already being used.
Let's dive into that.
Because seeing these concepts in action will give us a better idea of what this planetary immune system could actually look like.
It's time to get specific.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but now I want to hear about real-world examples.
Yeah, good. Let's talk about wastewater surveillance.
Wastewater.
Yeah. Remember how we talked about early warning signals? Well, wastewater is packed with info.
Wait, you mean literally analyzing sewage to predict outbreaks?
Exactly. It might sound a little gross,
It's just bit.
but think about it. A lot of pathogens.
The things that make us sick?
Yep, they show up in wastewater before people even have symptoms.
So we can get a heads up before anyone even goes to the doctor?
Precisely. It's like getting a snapshot of the community's health in real time.
Wow, but how do you analyze something as messy as sewage?
That's where those advances in genetic sequencing come in.
Ah, right, the stuff we talked about earlier.
We can actually pinpoint the specific viruses and bacteria in those samples.
Even if there's just a tiny amount.
Yep. It's like getting a microscopic fingerprint of what's circulating.
That's incredible. So we can actually track the spread of a virus through the sewer system.
And it's not just for tracking diseases.
What else?
We can use it to look for antibiotic-resistant bacteria.
Oh, the stuff that's really hard to treat.
Exactly. Or even check how effective vaccination campaigns are.
So wastewater surveillance is giving us a whole new tool for public health.
A very powerful one.
Okay, so that's one example. What other innovations are pushing us toward this planetary immune system?
Well, AI is also playing a big role in developing early warning systems.
I can see how that would be useful.
Imagine AI algorithms that can analyze tons of different data sources,
Like what kinds of sources?
weather patterns, social media trends, you name it, all to predict where and when an outbreak might hit.
So it's like a global crystal ball for disease.
It's not about perfect prediction, of course.
But it's about getting better at assessing risk.
Right. AI can help us connect those seemingly random dots that we might miss.
Okay, so give me an example.
Say there's a change in bird migration patterns,
Okay.
and at the same time, there's a sudden spike in people searching online for flu symptoms.
That could be a sign of...
Avian flu? Yeah.
Whoa. So the AI is like a detective piecing together clues from all over the place.
And then it can alert us to potential problems before they blow up.
Okay, I'm getting it. But how do we actually...
If AI comes in, it's not just about forecasting, it's about guiding our response.
Okay, walk me through it.
Let's say the AI flags a high risk of a measles outbreak in a certain area.
Uh-oh.
We can use that info to target vaccination efforts.
Get those shots out quickly.
Yep, or send extra healthcare workers to the region.
Or even issue travel warnings.
Exactly. All before the outbreak gets out of control.
So it's about using data to be proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly. It's about taking control instead of just playing defense.
This is really impressive stuff. But it seems like building a system like this would require a huge global effort.
You're not wrong. It would take an unprecedented level of cooperation.
Sharing data, resources, expertise.
All of it. But I really believe it's worth it.
I mean, the potential benefits are enormous.
We're talking about preventing pandemics, saving lives, and creating a healthy world.
And it's inspiring to see that we're already making progress with things like wastewater surveillance and AI-powered warnings.
It's a sign of what's possible when we put our minds to it.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. We've gone from garlic prices to supercomputers to sewage and AI.
Quite the journey, huh?
It's really opened my eyes to how technology is changing the way we think about global health.
It's a whole new world of possibilities.
And it's exciting to think about where we might go from here.
It's up to all of us to keep pushing the boundaries, to explore those possibilities, and to work together to build a future where these threats don't control our lives.
Well said. So to our listeners, I encourage you to stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. The future of global health depends on all of us working together.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning. The world is full of fascinating knowledge just waiting to be discovered.
And that's a wrap for this deep dive. We'll be back next week with another exploration of a cutting-edge topic. Until then, thanks for listening and keep those brains buzzing.